Bonjour everyone and welcome to my CachyOS installation guide. I want to preface this by saying this is not a let's look, so I won't be poking around too much in the operating system outside of what needs to be done. If you'd like to see a let's look, let me know in the comments. This guide assumes that you followed the Linux pre-installation steps I laid out here in this video that's just popping up, and also that you were able to boot into CachyOS using whatever method you chose. I recommended Ventoy in this video here. Before we can get started, you're going to need to download the CachyOS disk image. Here's how. To download the CachyOS disk image, pop open your favorite browser, navigate to CachyOS.org. I will have that down in the description below as well. Click on Download. Select the edition you want to use. For example, the desktop image. Select Direct or whatever other mirror type you want, or torrent. I will choose direct here. Save the file. And once that's done downloading, put it on a bootable thumb drive via whatever method you choose. I prefer Ventoy, as described in this video that's popping up here. And then reboot your computer with the thumb drive in, and you're ready to boot up CachyOS. Back to the installation now. Once you've successfully downloaded and booted into CachyOS, you'll be greeted with the desktop and Cachy Hello. This will contain a lot of helpful links as well as the ability to launch the installer. If you'd like to poke around the OS and try it out a bit before committing to an install, just close this and play around with the OS to your heart's content in live mode. Once you're ready to commit, ensure that you're connected to the internet and click Launch Install. The CachyOS installer requires the internet because during installation it will actually download the most recent updated packages to make sure that your system is fully up to date out of the box before you even first boot it up. It's fantastic, it's a huge time saver compared to some other distros, and I love it. The first thing we're greeted with is the bootloader selection. This is completely up to personal preference. Each bootloader has pros and cons of its own, and everyone has their own personal preferences. I'm going to link Cachy's official documentation on this down below in the description so that you'll be able to look it up and make the decision on your own. My personal preference is somewhere between Refined and Grub. Refined is a little bit more graphical and elegant looking and a bit more modern. Grub is the classic, it works with every BIOS and UEFI. In fact, it's the only one that works with legacy BIOSes. And also, CachyOS is touting a brand new, cool looking theme for their Grub bootloader, so I'm actually going to use that one today. Once you've made your selection, click on it, and then you'll be taken into the installation proper. Once Calamaris launches, which is the name of the installer, you get to select your language. I like use in my words, so I'm going to select British English. Hitting next brings you to the time zone selection, and this is correct for me. Make sure you select your correct time zone if it's not automatically selected. Having an accurate clock is important. Then hit next. Select your keyboard layout. Mine is definitely not a UK layout, it's the US standard. So I'm going to select US, default's fine, and hit next. On this screen, you're able to select your drive that you want CachyOS installed on. There's my SSD and there's my USB. I'm going to use my SSD. You have the option to install alongside, or replace a partition if you've already got something installed, or erase the whole disk, or even just do manual stuff and just go crazy with the partitioning scheme. For our purposes today, we're going to install alongside Windows in a dual boot, so we'll click on that. As you can see, there's a before and after now down here at the bottom. We would select the big yellow NTFS partition, that's our main Windows partition, and then the after changes. If you want to change the size of the installation, you would drag to the right if you want more Windows space, drag to the left if you want Linux to take up more space. The world is your oyster. I'm going to just leave it like this since this is just a demonstration, and I'm happy with this. Now I'm going to select next. This is one of the most fantastic features of CachyOS, and indeed Arch Linux in general, is the ability to just basically install whatever the heck you want. And in this case, this is our desktop environment selection. CachyOS defaults to KDE Plasma Desktop, but you're not limited to that. You could use GNOME and everything else in between. Take your pick. Again, there's no wrong way to Linux. Use whatever your preference is. Or you don't have to have a desktop at all. Maybe you just like typing stuff. Your choice. I'm going to go with the default for now because that's probably what most new people are going to go for right out of the box. And then I'm going to hit next. Now you have the option to install additional packages, such as other desktop environments aside from your main one. I wouldn't recommend doing that here. You could also install printing support if that's something you need. Accessibility tools, I like to have those. I'm definitely going to install printing support and support for HP printers. So once everything you want is selected, hit next. This is where you put in your login information and your user info. So put in your name here. And your username automatically fills. Name your computer whatever you want. And then you put in your nice easy password. And you have the option to use this password to log in automatically. I wouldn't recommend it. The whole point of having a password and everything is to be secure. Who wants anyone who just turns on their computer to be able to log into their stuff? You can turn it on if you really want. I wouldn't recommend it. Automatically checked is the use the same password for the administrator account. That's perfectly fine to leave on. Then, once you're done there, hit next. You're greeted with a summary. It'll tell you exactly what you're about to do, and once you're ready to commit, hit install. Now it'll give you one last chance to back out, warning you about all the changes that it's about to apply. If you're really ready to commit, hit install now, otherwise go back. Once installation begins, you'll be off to the races. CachyOS will shrink your Windows partition, put your Linux partition in there, download all of the required packages and do all the installation stuff. You get to just sit back and relax, and assuming everything goes correctly, you'll be Linuxing in no time. Let's skip ahead just a little bit. Once that's all done, all you have to do is check the Restart Now box if you want to restart your computer and go directly into CachyOS. Or if you want to poke around the live environment some more, don't check that and hit done. I'll see you on the other side. Once you're done booting up for the first time, you'll be greeted with the login screen. All you gotta do is enter your nice easy password and then hit enter. And then your desktop will load up. Cachy Hello will pop up on the screen just like it did for the installation, but this time it's got a couple new options, such as install apps and app tweaks. Right off the bat, we're gonna wanna pop into app tweaks. With the newer releases of CachyOS, they've installed Snapper support already, so you don't need to select this anymore. Back in the olden days, we used to have to. What Snapper support is basically like System Restore, where it takes a snapshot of your system files, and then you could boot from them later if you break something to restore yourself to a previous point in time where everything worked correctly. It's very handy, and I'm glad that it's now on by default in CachyOS. In here, you're also able to update the system, and as I discussed during the installation, you should be fully up to date by your first boot, so let's pop that open just so you can see what it looks like. Put in your nice easy password, then hit enter. Oh, there was already an update. Arch Linux friends, constantly on the bleeding edge. Just press Y if there is an update, let it go, and then you're done, hit enter. All gravy. If you want your system to notify you when there are updates and be able to update them another way, there's a new feature in CachyOS called Cachy-Update. If you check this box, it'll be enabled. Put in your nice easy password, and then proceed with the installation by hitting Y and pressing enter, and then press enter again to exit. As you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, a new icon has appeared in the system tray. Down here, that is Cachy-Update. I will give you a demonstration on that a little bit later, but for now, let's get back into the other stuff. Next, if you're a bit of a free spirit, install Spoof DPI. It's an anti-censorship tool that'll help bypass deep packet inspection. It's very handy. Again, enter your nice easy password. We're going to be doing this a lot. It'll help you never forget. Then proceed with the installation by pressing Y and then enter. And then enter again to exit once it's done. By default, CachyOS is intended to be an all-purpose operating system. I know it's touted on YouTube and the internet now as a gaming distro, but that was never the intent. Gaming was actually just a side thing that you could enjoy, and indeed CachyOS does have a fantastic gaming meta package. I'm going to go on the assumption that you guys are gamers. That's probably why you're looking up CachyOS instead of some other business-like Linux distro. So let's go ahead and install the gaming meta package by clicking on Install Gaming Packages. And then entering that nice easy password and hitting enter. Now this is where the beauty of CachyOS comes in. All of their packages are optimized depending on the hardware you're using. So as you can see here in my terminal, my first option is to go with the V3 packages. Those are the ones that are optimized for this laptop's 12th gen Intel CPU. The other option is just to use a standard version that's not specifically optimized one way or another. The default's 1, and I believe we're going to want our Blazingly Fast OS to be blazingly fast, so let's download that. Again, for 7-zip, same thing. And then, once we're happy with that, proceed with the installation by pressing Y and enter. Look at all those Pac-Mans go. I love Pac-Man. It's so charming. This could take a little while depending on the speed of your internet connection and your computer. Be patient with it. And once it's done, just hit enter. Your system is basically set up unless you want to install some other packages. So let's close this. Our next step is to get you gaming. We just installed the gaming meta package, so everything you need is installed, such as Steam and Lutris and Heroic. Those are all fantastic game launchers that were installed with that gaming meta. There is something special with Steam in CachyOS that's unlike every other distro, so let's take a look at that. As you can see, there's an icon for Steam, but there's also an option for Steam Native. Again, with CachyOS's optimized packages, they've also gone ahead and optimized a whole bunch of Steam libraries and done some custom configurations to those. That's what Cachy Native does. It uses the native CachyOS libraries, whereas the first option uses Valve's own libraries that come with the Steam runtime. In CachyOS, and only CachyOS, you always want to be running the native version unless something is broken. So let's launch that. And it'll run its update, and once that's done, you should be prompted with a login. Once Steam is done updating itself for the first run, you'll be greeted with the login screen. So just log in as you normally would. And you're pretty much ready to game. But there are a few additional steps I want to go through with you just to make sure your gaming experience is optimized. So up in the top left corner, click Steam and go to Settings. Go to Downloads, scroll down to the bottom, make sure Allow Background Processing of Vulkan Shaders is turned on. What this will do is allow your system to process the shaders for Vulkan, which is extremely important for Proton, which converts DirectX stuff to Vulkan. When you launch your games without this, they'll do it every single time, and it takes 20 years. You don't want to be waiting 20 years to play your game, so allowing it to be processed in the background is a must. Next, we're going to go down to Compatibility. As you can see, the default up here is Proton Experimental. That's Valve's own Proton. But the special thing about CachyOS is that it comes pre-installed with its own optimized versions of Proton with some extra fixes and things that are not in the current Valve version of Proton. And it comes with two, just like with Steam. The native package, which is the one we're going to run in the native version of Steam, and also the runtime version, which we would run in the other version of Steam. For our purposes, let's select the native package. It's going to ask us to restart. Don't worry, it's just Steam, not the whole computer, so press restart and Steam should relaunch. And now you're all set up and ready to game, so happy gaming in Steam. As far as installing software goes, the easiest way for me is to use the terminal. So I would pop open the app menu and type in console or terminal. They both link to the same thing. Depending on the desktop environment you used, it could be named something else. Make sure you're cognizant of that. Then open it. And then here's how we install our first piece of software. Let's go with Discord. And also I'm going to install Flatpak. So you would type in sudo. That'll enable your super user privileges. Then you type in pacman. That's your package manager. -s. That'll tell it you want to install something. And then we'll say Discord. And also, if you want to install multiple things at the same time, we'll install Flatpak. And sure, why not? I'll demonstrate this. GIMP. Maybe you want to do some image manipulation. Just for funsies. Let's hit enter. And then put in your nice easy password. Hit enter. Make sure you type it correctly. Then you can proceed with the installation of all of those packages that you want by pressing Y and then enter. Once they're done downloading and installing, you're good to go. As you can see, if I open my app menu, we have Discord now, we have GIMP, and we also have Flatpak installed. Perfect, right? You'll also notice that after we installed all these packages, it created a new snapshot or restore point. That is fantastic, because if we install a package we don't want or something that breaks our system, we can go right back to exactly the moment before we installed this package, and it'll be like as if it never happened. I love it. We can close this terminal now because I'm going to show you another way to install packages, and that is with Octopi. Octopi is the default way to install packages with a GUI in CachyOS. There are plenty of other options. This will also allow us access to the AUR, or Arch User Repository. So for example, if we wanted to install DaVinci Resolve, you can just type it in a search and it's right there. You just have to go and hit install and it would install that. Or if you wanted to install a package that's not included on Cachy's repositories, but you know is out there and you really desperately want, click on this little alien guy to access the AUR and then search. So I'm going to look for the cool new Flatpak store called Bazaar. There it is. And I'm going to install it by right-clicking, going to install, and then you hit the check mark to apply. And it basically does the same thing as Pac-Man did in the terminal. You just hit Y to accept and proceed. You would push Q after you're done looking at this, and then accept the changes. Put in your nice easy password, put it in correctly. You're going to be a master at putting yours in correctly soon enough. After doing it this many times, trust me. All of the packages will install just like I showed you earlier in the terminal. Now, Bazaar takes a little while because it does a lot of configuration. And it's done, you're ready to go. You've installed a package, so go ahead and close Octopi. And if we open our app menu, we can see what we've installed. It's Bazaar. How bizarre? How bizarre. It may take a moment, don't worry, it doesn't take forever every time. And now we've basically got a really cool storefront to download Flatpak packages. So let's scroll down and see what they got. Look at all those browsers and stuff. Discord's even on here, and the Brave browser, and a Flatpak version of Steam. Let's see what else we got. If we want to install something on here, we just click it like OBS Studio and hit install, and then install again. And as you can see in the top right corner, we got ourselves a little bit of a progress bar. And once that finishes, we should have ourselves a cool new version of OBS. And now that OBS Studio is installed, you can launch it by hitting this play button right over here. And there you go. Boom. Hello. Now you can just close Bazaar and you're ready to go. Now, you're not limited, obviously, to the packages I demonstrated. You can do whatever you like. The sky is the limit. Now that you know the basics, let's find out how to use Cachy-Update to update your system. So I've hopped onto another computer of mine that has CachyOS to demonstrate how to use Cachy-Update to update your CachyOS. And if that's not a tongue twister, I don't know what is. For anyone who's curious, I'm using the Carl look and feel global theme. This isn't the default look for CachyOS. Anyway, let's get to it. As you can see down in the bottom right corner, in the system tray area, there's a CachyOS logo with a little red dot in there. That's Cachy-Update. To do the update, all you've got to do is click on it. It'll pop up in a terminal, tell you everything that needs updating. It's very handy. Then all you have to do is press Y to accept, put in your password, and then you have to press Y again to proceed. It'll download everything, install everything very quickly, very fastly. This also works for Flatpaks, as you can see here. So hit yes to update those. And if it needed to after the update's been applied, it'll offer to remove orphan files, unused Flatpak stuff, old uninstalled packages, old uninstalled cache packages, and if there's a kernel update or anything like that, it'll offer to reboot your computer, it'll offer to restart any services that need to be restarted if you've updated those, and then you just press enter and you're done. It's really simple, but really powerful. Before we go too far, I want to show you how to use those handy-dandy life-saving snapshots that we were creating earlier when we were installing packages and things. To do that, open your app menu, open the Btrfs Assistant, put in your nice easy password, and there it is. You'll be able to get all your info there, all your subvolumes. If you want to restore yourself to an earlier point in time, go to Browse/Restore and select your desired snapshot. If you want to go to something that was before you installed a package, you would select Pre in the type, or right after you installed it, go to Post, and then you would hit the Restore button. It'll restore to that point in time, and you're going to want to immediately restart your system, and everything will be tickety-boo. Easy peasy. Now there's one last step for those of us who installed the Grub bootloader, and that is to make sure the Grub bootloader can see other operating systems that are installed on the system, which is very handy if you're dual booting. By default, for security reasons, CachyOS does not have Grub set to automatically detect other operating systems, but we can configure it to do so manually so that we can get back into Windows without having to do some hoop jumping. In order to do that, we're going to need to enter our good old friend, the terminal. So console, and then you're going to want to edit the Grub configuration file. So sudo nano, and then access the file by going to /etc/default/grub and pressing enter. Then you're going to want to type in your nice easy password. This is so that you can actually make changes to the file. If you did it without sudo, it would be read-only. Now, we want to scroll down until we find a certain line that mentions OS prober right here, the one that says disable and true. It's got a number sign in front of it. Just erase the number sign. That'll make that line active. Then press Ctrl X to exit and Y to save. Overwrite the file, just press enter. You're good to go there. Once you're done with that file, you're going to want to run the OS prober and also update the Grub configuration files to make sure it detects your OSs automatically at boot up. To do that, enter this command into your terminal and hit enter. It'll run the OS prober and update the Grub configuration file with the locations of your other OSs. Once that's done, you're good to go. On your next reboot, you should see your Windows or any other OS you have installed on your system in that bootloader list. Hope that helped. The final thing we need to do if this is a dual boot setup is to ensure that Linux can read your Windows drives and any other NTFS drives you may have installed on your system. If we pop open Dolphin, which is our file explorer in KDE, and navigate down to this side on the left panel, we can see basic data partition. That's actually our Windows drive. If we click on that, we'll be prompted to enter our nice easy password. And then, if you're like me, it'll return an error that this drive is unable to be mounted. Don't worry, that's normal for CachyOS, and I will tell you exactly how to fix that. To fix the issue, you need to boot back into Windows. Then, navigate down to the File Explorer, open that up, navigate on the left-hand side to this PC, right-click on your Windows drive, go to Properties, then select Tools in the tabs at the top, then open Error Checking. And then you're going to want to select Scan and Repair Drive. This is going to pop up asking you if you want to restart the computer now to perform repairs or do it later. Clearly we want to do it now, so you would hit Restart and Repair Now. This is going to run a check disk, fix any disk issues, any issues with the partition tables, and any issues with the file system. Once it's complete, your system will reboot again, and you'll be good to go back to Linux. Once you've finished scanning the drive and repairing it, and then rebooting back into CachyOS, you're ready to go, so just navigate down to Dolphin, open that, and you'll see the data basic partition. It'll be unmounted right now. Click on that, enter your nice easy password, and hit enter. And boom, there's all your Windows files ready for you to access. Now, I'm sure you don't want to have to enter your nice easy password every single time you reboot your computer to access your Windows drive, so let me show you how to mount that thing automatically without having to do that ever again. There's actually a ton of different ways you can mount a drive automatically, some of them more difficult than others. I'm going to show you one method that I quite enjoy, and that's to use GNOME disks. To do so, open the app menu, then open a terminal. Then type in sudo pacman-s, that means you want to install something from the package manager as a super user. Then type in GNOME disk utility with dashes in there, and then push enter. Enter your nice easy password, then hit enter again. Install these packages by hitting Y and then pushing enter. Once they're done installing, you can exit the terminal. You don't need to be here anymore. Once you've finished downloading GNOME disks, open it by going to the app menu, typing in disks, then opening it. Find your disk on the left-hand side. Find your Windows partition, in my case. It's right here. You'll know because it'll be NTFS. You may also have to do this for every other NTFS partition or drive that you wish to have accessed by Linux. Select the additional partition options, which is the button on the bottom left underneath all the partitions here. The second one from the left. Click on it, go to Edit Mount Options. Uncheck User Session Default. This line right here in the middle, that's all the permissions you're going to give to access that drive. So we want to grant this drive read-write access by typing in "RW". We also want to give this drive executable access, so "exec". Perfect. By default, they have it set to mount into /mnt/ and then its incomprehensible UUID. We're going to make that a little bit more readable to a human being, so I'm going to erase all those letters and numbers. And I'm going to, for our purposes, put it in /mnt/win. And remember, this is case sensitive, so if you put in a capital letter like me, be cognizant of that in the future. And now, if we want to give it a display name instead of basic data partition, we can go here into the display name box and type in something like Windows, and then hit OK to confirm. Put in your nice easy password, hit enter, and you should be good to go now. And once that's done, you can mount the drive right here by hitting this play button, or you can restart the computer to see if the auto mount took effect. So let's try that and see what happens, shall we? See you in a moment. Now that you've booted back into Linux, it's the moment of truth time to see if all your hard work is paid off. Go down and navigate into Dolphin. As you can see, our basic data partition did mount. Click on it. You can see all of our Windows stuff is here. And that's pretty much it, friends. I hope this helped you out. Happy Linuxing, and I'll see you in the next video.